Hey there, welcome back to Tennille Talks. All right, y'all, so I'm in the outdoor space, but my family is in the room adjacent, so you may hear them laughing. It may get loud, and so if you can't tune in for the whole time, no worries. But I wanted to talk about something before I start the reading. We often talk about how Earth is a school, right? And so imagine that on Earth, there are classes that you are required to take, and then there are classes that we would call electives, okay? There are also physical campuses, and there are digital campuses. Now, depending on where you live, sometimes the law of your society or community says that legally you must attend school some way, somehow, right? Now, YouTube would be a digital campus, but everything on YouTube, every channel is essentially a class. All of these classes are electives. You don't have to take or watch any channel on YouTube. I say that because, to subject yourself to something that you do not enjoy is not a reflection of self-love. Now, I don't really talk about trouble that I get in the comment section because a lot of times I just delete there. I have two rules for myself in terms of social media. I will not go to war with myself, which means I am not going to engage in anything on social media that disturbs me because it causes a war to stir inside of me. But then also I do not go to war in the comment section because that means that whoever I'm talking to is at war with themselves and they are bringing it to me. Now, yesterday, and so a lot of times I feel like people forget that YouTube is an elective. You are not required to watch a channel or to like any, you're just not required. So to do something that you don't enjoy, there's a deeper thing, right? All right, so I just normally delete people. I don't even respond back, okay? So the most recent reading about the plot of attack being half-baked. First of all, did anybody catch where I was going? Has anybody watched the movie Half-Baked with Dave Chappelle? It was older. I was younger. But when I was like, fuck you, that was a line from the movie Half-Baked. Anybody see that? Okay. I thought I was being clever, but it was really how I was feeling at the same time. All right, so I got an email from the mature woman that I spoke about in my reading with the four-page email. Let me say something. I have had exchanges with this woman. This is not just a random person who's writing me and kind of pouring out their story to me. I honor this position, I honor this platform, and never do I want to disrespect anybody, okay? And so in the event that you have ever written me a very long email, my reading was really geared toward this energy, right? And so don't feel hesitant to write and to express, to purge and to get it out. My problem is I talked about how I really am no longer going to allow people to play in my face. So let me tell you what I mean by that. Months ago, I used to offer 30 or 60-minute phone calls, right? The same woman who has written me 2 4-page emails twice, I first connected with her by way of a phone call that she wanted scheduled. Now, out the gate when I did the phone call, she called me Crystal. Crystal is my middle name, but I go by Tennille. I introduce myself to you as Tennille. My channel is called Tennille Talks. So for her to call me anything other than my name, that already was a red flag. And I asked her, why are you calling me that? And how did you know that was my name? She said she saw it on another platform. Cool. Well, in the process of us speaking, at some point, she had asked me if I could take pictures of my home and the surrounding area because she wanted to be able to help me achieve feng shui, right? And so the conversation, it was intrusive, it was uncomfortable, and I never spoke to her again on the phone. Now, she texted me multiple times, and there was one text that she sent me because I stopped responding, and she said, "Are you ghosting me?" I mean, if you have to ask somebody if they're ghosting you, then you probably understand that you are being ghosted, right? And so typically I'm the kind of person where if I feel uncomfortable, if my spirit is speaking to me and there's something uneasy when I communicate with you, then I will pull back my energy to protect and guard myself. Now, my issue with this specific lady in the 4-page emails is, let's practice this. I'm just going to use 2 words. Good morning. Tell me if you can pick up the difference. If somebody says, good morning, how are you? Versus good morning. right? Sometimes you can use words that are safe, but it's the energy behind the words where you're like, what is that, right? And so from the moment I spoke to her, I could feel an energy. The energy says, I'm entitled, you are a subordinate, you don't know enough, and let me teach you. And so the entire phone call with her, it was really about her lecturing me, almost like she was giving me an assignment. And that's why I said, yo, like, I'm not in college anymore. Like, I'm not going to read things that I'm forced to read that don't apply to me. But I feel like in every one of her messages, it's almost like she's taking me to school. But there's an air of entitlement, right? And it's almost like, well, I have to prove to you who you are not based on who I am. Like, you know, anyway, so I've had multiple exchanges with her where I have decided to not respond because I knew that it was an energy that I just didn't want to tangle with, okay? I feel like this woman is at war with herself, and somehow I have come across her radar, and when she communicates to me, I can feel that war that she wants me to pick up. I don't want to pick it up, right? And so when I got another 4-page message, like the reading I talked about, the problem is you can say whatever you want, but it is the air, it is the energy behind the message, right? So I get an email today in response to the video I posted, and it's requesting me to respond. You know, it's just this, it's this energy that I can read, and my ego is not inflated. Like, I'm fine with talking, but it's almost like I have to play a position, or I have to assume a position. Now, she's not saying that to me directly, but it's the energy behind the words, okay? So here's the thing. In the email today, she refers to me as an ape in a very witty way, but she refers to me as an ape. She kind of threatens me with the Most High, you know, because I have said whatever I said about her. Now there is some type of wrath or impending doom that I must look forward to, right? And so my thing is like, if you called me an ape today, you probably called me an ape months ago. And so when I decided not to talk to you, when I decided not to respond to any of those emails, it was because I could feel the energy of you, and it was uncomfortable, and it wasn't mine, and so I decided not to engage, right? And so there are certain people that almost want me to step back or step down. And that is not a me problem, that is a you problem, right? I am fine with people not liking me. I would have respected this woman from the moment she crossed paths with me, right? When she asked me to talk to her, right? Like, you could have called me an ape months ago. You could have told me that you thought I was inadequate months ago. Why do we have to dance around 4-page emails? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, honor your time. Say what you mean and mean what you say. When there was the package and the shipping label that was really sketchy in my home, she wrote me a long email, and that was the first 4-page one. I started to read it and my spirit was troubled. I was like, I can't read this. I can't read it, right? Because I could hear how she was coming for me. It was just nasty, but it wasn't overtly nasty, right? But I can read energy. And so now, you know, there's some type of wrath, or I'm being threatened. Like, this is not listen, I saw a short with 50 Cent, and he says, you know, I don't want any problems, but if you bring a problem to me, I say, okay, no problem. And like, in many ways, that is my method. Like, I don't seek people out. I post a reading, but I never know how it's going to land. And so if you don't like the way it has touched you, I respectfully can have a conversation with you about it, because I don't want nobody has to agree with me or like me, or like, you don't have to. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody is subjected. Tennille Talks is an elective. You do not have to watch this channel or take this class. Imagine somebody taking a class and then getting up in the middle of the class and like screaming because they don't like the curriculum that the teacher is using, or they don't like the way the teacher looks or the way the teacher sounds. Like, if this is an elective, like, why not walk out? And so a lot of times I'm not going to argue with people. I will just dismiss you. I will drop you from the class with no conversation, because I want you to continue on finding things that you enjoy, right? And so thank you for like understanding where I was coming from with that message. And listen, it was me. This is what I mean. Me not saying anything to her after all of those exchanges was me wearing a mask. And so like, that is not what, I can't do that if I'm going to be authentic. So I need to like speak up. And so she came out in the reading, a mature woman protesting me. And the thing is that she didn't negate anything I said in the reading. She just didn't like the fact that I read her, you know? And so now there's some penalty per her for me. Now, listen, if you bring a problem to me, no problem, right? All right, y'all. So I hope that's clear. Thank you for rocking with me. I don't always come out that way. You know how like if you're at work, you have paid time off, you have sick leave. My reading yesterday about the plan being half-baked, that would have been me taking a sick day or sick leave. And instead of me clocking out of work and not posting a video, I just posted a video and I just told you all the shit that makes me sick, right? But it was necessary for to kneel. Maybe it wasn't necessary for every subscriber to be a part of that, but it was necessary for Tennille to be authentic about the things that happened behind the scenes, right? And so the way she felt about me, she has always felt about me, but she always hid it, or she thought she was hiding it. And as long as I didn't say anything, then I was participating in that type of charade. I'm not doing that to entertain you or to give you space. Like, no, walk away, right? We're 11 minutes in. Sorry, y'all, if you're still here. All right, so we're going to jump into this reading. So the reading starts with the energy of somebody being single, sexy, and successful. Now, this can be a man or woman. Single, sexy, and successful. Now, I have the energy of Pluto. Pluto rules Scorpio, and Pluto transits every 12 to 15 years. And so the way I'm interpreting this is that 12 to 15 years ago, how did you feel about yourself? 12 to 15 years ago, did you feel like you were single, sexy, or successful? Like, were you on the precipice of creating something? Like, where were you? Whether you were in a marriage, whether you were single, like, what were you like 12 to 15 years ago? The reason why I think this is important is because the Judgment card is what connects to Pluto. The Judgment card is about a deep transformation. And so 12 to 15 years ago, what is ending right now, it started then, right? And so when we're talking about the energy of Pluto, this is transformation, this is power, death, rebirth, and evolution. So 12 to 15 years, a lot of us have been evolving. Right now, you are entering into this phase being single, sexy. And when I say single, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, like, even if you're married, single, I think it really means that you have your own identity. You are authentically you, even if you are coupled, right? And so it may have taken a lot of us a while to evolve into our most authentic self. This transformation happened, but it happened very deeply, like on a cellular level. Now, you're moving into the energy of creating wealth, whether it be like a mega project, whether it be real estate, whatever it is. Those that I'm talking to, and I know I'm talking to curse breakers and light beings, the way this reading starts, it goes from the present and it goes back from the past. And so right now there is a family, and I know it's a family because we have family room. And so there's a family who was expecting and hoping and waiting on the exact thing that you are about to walk into. The energy of wealth is going to be yours. Now, were they waiting 12 to 15 years? No. I think that while you were evolving, I think that a lot of abundance may not have been available to you. Abundance doesn't always have to be tangible. Sometimes it's just access to your own energy. I feel like a lot of us have evolved so much so that, like, you are coming into yourself, and this is rebirth. This is you walking in your power without interference and without influence, right? So somebody was expecting this version of you and everything that you were going to have access to. These people were waiting and expecting to essentially have your royalties, right? Like the money, the wealth, the projects, everything that you are about to have. They have been waiting on this 12 to 15 years. Now, the energy that you were coming up in. So after you go from this 12 to 15 year cycle, the tarot card that aligns to your present energy is the Six of Pentacles. That's when giving and taking is balanced. No more one-sided relationships, whether they are in your personal life, your family life, your intimate life, or your work life. Think about how often you poured into cups that refuse to pour back to you. And so right now you're moving into a time where the balance of nurturing is very even and consistent for all parties involved. And so this is like you about to reap rewards, but there are people who are waiting to receive. I feel like I have to sneeze. There are people who are waiting to receive what you are about to be gifted, okay? Now, your abundance is causing someone paranoia, suffering, and a nightmare. Like people can't even sleep well, knowing that you are about to walk into a very abundant time of your life. Now, to describe your energy, you are coming out as 2. Now, in numerology, the number 2, is the most gentle number, okay? So think about 2. There's 1 here and 1, so this is about balance. And so the number 2 is about balance, duality, partnership, choices. On the opposite side of 2, like if you're not balanced, we have opposition. Instead of cooperating, you could be a recluse. And so I feel like you're about to pop out, so to speak, okay? And when you pop out, you're popping out because, listen, the wheel of fortune is turning. And so whatever you have been doing for the past 12 to 15 years is going to be reflected in the lifestyle that you are about to walk into. But this lifestyle was one that other people very close to you were longing and waiting for. Now, your family, the specific group of people, they are connected to a specific community, okay? Now, I feel like, our family is our first community. And I almost feel like these people are very afraid because the community that you are now attached to, meaning like when this wheel turns, what you've been doing for 12 to 15 years, it's either going to favor you or it is going to put you in a space of feeling like a failure. And so you are getting a community, but the community is attached to the energy of the world, right? And so this is like a community that is fit for you, a community that is in partnership with you. And so these people are afraid because you have abundance, but you have abundance that is attached to a community that is uniquely tailored to you and catered to the energy that you possess, right? And so this is like you finding your people. This is like you finding your soul tribe, and everybody that had a position to walk close to you, to experience life with you that did you wrong, what they are about to go through is going to reflect the behaviors or the treatment of you. Moving on, in the center of the reading, there is a mature man. The number on the mature man card is 5. In numerology, 5 is about change. I often say it's either, am I going to be change oriented or am I going to be restless? Some people do create change because they just need to create change, right? Like there's really no method, there's no reason, there's not always a purpose. There is a mature man who wants to apologize to you. So you're about to pop out. You're ending this cycle. This is judgment. You've answered your call of authenticity. You are you through and through, right? And so what is attached to you is wealth, but there's also a community, right? Where you will be reflected yourself. You will see you by way of the community that you are going to be attached to. A mature man wants to apologize. He wants to apologize because he wants to move beyond a certain situation. And so I said that this reading goes from the present all the way back to the past, okay? So now that you are essentially getting on your throne, somebody is feeling guilty. They want to confess something. They're feeling convicted. This person wants to complete something. They have the energy of Saturn. Now, Saturn transits every 2 to 3 years. It connects to the world card. So we have the world card 2 times side by side, right? And so you have your version of the world card, but then right next to you, there's somebody else who's going through their version of the world card, okay? And so they want to apologize. And I think it's because they understand the power and they understand your evolution. Like they see where you are right now. This person is looking to complete something. Saturn is about structure, law, ambition, restriction, discipline, responsibility, and obligation. Saturn transits every 2 to 3 years. Somebody wants to apologize to you, and I have this energy: mockery in an attempt to disguise fear. And so, is there a mature man that you have been connected to, maybe by way of partnership, right? We talked about you carrying a very gentle and balanced energy. And so we have the energy of somebody mocking you. And they may have been mocking you because they were afraid of the power or the potential that you possess. And so this person is in the center and wanting to apologize. When they look to the left, they see you and you're growing. But when they look to the right, they see your family and they see the deal that they have made. And so somebody may say to you, I'm sorry, I must confess something. You know, they'll talk about the way they treated you, and they'll say, well, I treated you that way because I was afraid. And you'll say, well, what were you afraid of? This is somebody that wants to move beyond a situation. They want to go from rough waters to smooth waters, but this is emotionally, but it's also the swords. So I feel like somebody's emotional body is troubled, somebody's mental body is troubled because of something that they did to you. Now, if you never evolved into this person that is moving into wealth and prestige, would they ever have said sorry? Right? And so sometimes watching you walk in your power, it forces people to recognize who they were, what they did to you. And a lot of people do things to you when they think you have no value or no worth, right? But now you can't hide who you are. Like, not only do they see it, but the world sees it, okay? And so this person may say, hey, listen, I mocked you because I was afraid. This person received unexpected income. So this person was paid. Well, what were they paid to do? Next to that, I have the Death card. And then we have 10 of Cups. Now, y'all, these families that we have survived, for many of us, they have been very treacherous, okay? And I don't think anybody really prepared for this moment in time where a lot of the curse breakers and light beings, and I know I'm talking to curse breaker and light beings because that's my card that comes up. I know like a lot of people did not prepare for this evolution. Like, for you to be this version of you, it's almost like everybody slept on you. Nobody ever thought you would wake up. Nobody ever thought you would amount to everything. And so they made a decision against you when you were at your lowest. And when I say lowest, I mean you were least authentic. You hadn't yet morphed into who you truly were when you were walking in your energy. And so now that you are walking in power, some people feel convicted and they want to confess. Let's say, oh, well, I mistreated you, or I did this to you because I received payment. Your family paid me. Now, this mature man comes out in commitment. So this may be a man that you were married to. We have the number 3. 3 is about expansion, expression, and growth. Maybe you were committed to this person. Maybe this person was committed and you had no idea. Nonetheless, somebody is going to apologize because they received unexpected money, because they were put in a position to do something to you. They were supposed to bring an ending to you. Now, they were supposed to bring an ending to your 10 of Cups. And so to be a curse breaker or a light being, listen, you have all 10 cups inside of you. The way that you love selflessly and the way that you show up for other people, sometimes people are disgusted and disturbed by the love that you carry. Like, it can literally irritate and unsettle their soul. And so this is almost look like somebody who was hired or contracted to kind of put your lights out. Now, was it a true death? I don't know. But it was essentially supposed to wound you so much so that you would not have been fit to go and have a family or relationships where you loved unconditionally and relationships were balanced, right? Now, favorite card again, God help anyone who disrespects the Queen. And so the person that wants to apologize may have been married, and even if this wasn't somebody that was committed to you, this would have been a relationship where you had to learn how to love yourself. So if this was a spouse or a partner, This is somebody who didn't receive, right? I talked about us walking in the Six of Pentacles, which means finally the giving and the taking is balanced. This could have been a relationship where you were mocked, you were mistreated, but maybe you didn't know that this person was a part of some kind of deal that was connected to your family. But now that you're stepping out as a royal, as a queen, this person feels convicted. Now, I have the energy of Cancer. Cancer initiates emotional processes. And so that is what you could have done to this person. Or maybe this person is a Cancer. Cancer also rules, I think it's our fourth house, which is our inner world. Like those are our roots. That's our lineage. That's our parents, our family. Like that's the first house we grew up in. Whatever you learned, whatever those lessons were, you were coming out in the fourth house essentially as a royal, right? And so even if your family practiced conditional love, or they were narcissistic, or they were cold and abusive, or they scapegoated you, none of those qualities, characteristics, traits, or practices, you didn't buy into any of that. Like you maintained your royalty throughout. And so there may have been a commitment where you had to learn how to love yourself because it was very scarce. It being love. Love was scarce. You gave it, but it wasn't returned. But it wasn't returned intentionally, right? So here's the thing. The mature man comes up again. Now, I think that this is a different mature man. So there's one mature man that was paid unexpectedly in order to treat you or not treat you a certain kind of way. But that was necessary because it is in that situation where you learn to love yourself. And so even the things that can break us, sometimes they do happen for our good, okay? Now, you learn to love yourself, but then I get this energy. We have alliance, right? This person was in alliance with who? With your family. And so they are going to apologize and they are going to say, I was committed to your family. We were in an alliance. Now, what was the alliance? I have two bodies, one soul. I think right now we are moving where we get to find our counterparts. Whether they are friends, lovers, mates, it doesn't matter. But for many of us, before we truly evolved, I almost feel like your family bound themselves to you almost as if they were holding space for not holding space for your divine counterpart, but they were holding the space as your divine counterpart. And so when you have two counterparts that come together, the wealth and the love that you get to experience, if you are bound to a family, and only a toxic family can do this, right? If you are bound to a family, they're doing this because they want to harvest the rewards of your divinity. And so this is a family that knew you were a curse breaker. They knew you were a light being, and they wanted to connect. They wanted to latch on to you. Not that you would have gotten any benefit from it, right? But this more mature man, he essentially jumped on board. And when he jumped on board with this, it was really an investment. Anytime I see the Seven of Pentacles come up, with people, it just gives me a sketchy feeling, right? There's no business here, there's no projects, there's no work. This investment means that this curse breaker, this light being, was an investment to their family. And so whoever you dated, maybe you were committed, maybe somebody came towards you simply to break you. It taught you self-love. Whoever came towards you, it was a part of an event. What I really see is like you have a family, but there was one specific person in your family that was locked into you. Like they bound themselves to you. And everybody else that you were attached to, whether they knew it or not, they were on that person's payroll. And so as long as everybody else played a part, as long as everybody else got on board with whatever this mature man did, they got paid, they got money, they got to benefit from the investment being you. And so there's one mature man who's apologizing, and they were really under the guidance and the supervision of whoever this mature man is that really bound themselves to you, okay? And that's how I'm seeing it. And so this is somebody that joined in on an investment, and it was to bring you death. It was to bring you an ending. I don't know if it was physical, but it was definitely emotional, essentially breaking your soul. Because listen, if you're not evolving, and if you're not growing and transforming, and if you're not mastering yourself, then all of that divinity that you're not using, whoever is bound to you is getting access to those things. And so I don't think that your evolution was supposed to look as good as it does. So right now you are looking single, sexy, and successful. But 12 to 15 years ago, that may not have been your story. So there was an alliance, and the only reason why this alliance was packaged this way is because of your soul. You are a curse breaker and a light being. And so, listen, I heard today that that this eclipse, it is essentially going to move us officially from our south node to our north node. And anybody that hasn't done the work over the past 12 to 15 years will, and you know, what you are about to reap and harvest is not going to be what they reap and harvest. And so people may have gotten very comfortable living and walking in your abundance as long as they were attached to a lower aspect of you. Okay, and so this is reckoning, this is judgment, and you were coming out very good. But what did you have to go through to finally get to this version of yourself, right? And so 12 to 15 years is a really long time. It is a really long time. All right, y'all, so that's the reading. An apology may be coming, but this is really about a family who walked in the energy of your divine counterpart. Nothing about them was divine. Divine people don't do this to people, right? It's like, but they wanted to experience the energy, and they wanted to experience the rewards of what divine beings carry. And so this is somebody hijacking your system so that they can ride along. But this is impossible now. It is impossible for them to do what they've always done. And someone's convicted and someone wants to apologize. All right, y'all, I love you. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.